Heart first leadership isn't what you say, it's how you show up, how you regulate, how you communicate, and how you execute when it matters most. We are Heidi and Ryan Sawyer, and you are listening to the Heart First Leadership Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrated Mindset Podcast. I am Ryan Sawyer, your co-host, alongside with
Heidi Sawyer,
the one and the only, and we are on commitment number 6 of our series. We're doing a little book study of sorts, and the book that we're doing is the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, a new paradigm for sustainable success. And I've said this every time, but I'm going to keep saying it.
Yeah.
This is a book that's kind of geared more towards corporate and the idea of teams and organizations, but you can take every single one of these commitments and point them back at yourself and say that they're the 15 commitments of conscious living. And then connection and relationship with others. It's all one big conversation. Like we're always having in our home and in our business, we are always having one big, long, extended, continuous conversation about consciousness, about awareness, about transformation, growth, evolution. Yes.
What it means to be human and in a world that is full of, opportunities or obstacles, however you want to see it.
I know we've talked about this before, like building this life where this ends up being really one of the only conversations that I have. And
Truly.
I'm, there. And it was like yesterday, maybe even this morning where I was like, it's the only conversation I want to have. And it's the only conversation I really do have, and just enjoy so much to continue to deepen our knowledge and to explore and to have conversations with you, whether you're someone who's involved in our work as a client, a friend, or a colleague of sorts. Like this is the most important conversation. Like this should be our number one priority, is to learn how to live above the line.
Yeah. I feel like they should have called this book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Living, Loving, and Leading.
That would have been good. We should call them and let them know that. Maybe they'll change the title.
Yeah, I'll give them that feedback.
So we're on commitment number 6, Heidi. What is commitment number 6? Read it to us. 6 is all... You know how much I don't like reading.
And out loud. He hates to be read too. Also.
I don't like to. Yeah, don't read to me. Just in case you're wondering. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So commitment number 6, practicing integrity. This is the above the line commitment. I commit to the masterful practice of integrity, including acknowledging all authentic feelings, expressing the unarguable truth, keeping my agreements, and taking 100% responsibility. And I'm going to give you the below the line commitment as well. I commit to living in incompletion by withholding my truth, denying my feelings, not keeping my agreements, and not taking 100% responsibility.
Awesome. So you might notice, if you have been following or you're reading the book along with us, that a lot of this kind of sounds like tying in multiple other commitments of feeling the feelings to completion, of speaking candidly, of taking full responsibility, other commitments that we've already spoke to. And it does, but there's a reason why it's a standalone. Integrity is an incredible conversation. And I'm not sure where we're going to take this conversation, because you wrote some notes and I wrote some notes, and we'll see where we go. But like, man, when you live, all I know is this in my personal life, I can notice, and it's very obvious when I'm in integrity, meaning not just the simple component of my thoughts, my words, and my actions. Like that's integrity, right? That my thoughts, what I'm saying, what I'm thinking is in alignment with each other. And then the congruence of that, and my actions, my actual habitual and choices that I'm making are in alignment. Like that's part of it. But even a deeper sense, and they use the word wholeness, which I love, because man, when I'm in integrity with a much deeper sense of who I truly am, of what my unique offer is to the world, or how I can contribute, the problem I can solve, and these a deeper, really a spiritual conversation of consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
of going in, of being still, of coming back out with complete clarity and optimism. When I'm in that alignment and I'm making decisions from that place, like I protect my energy, I don't get derailed, I have energy at the end of the day. It's just my life seems so much more full than a day when and that seems powerful. Like I kind of rest in the sense of power.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than a day that I can look at if saying that as I was out of integrity as one where I'm more forceful, I'm kind of frustrated, I'm easily kind of derailed or irritable.
Mm-hmm.
I allow for myself to get distracted and kind of be squirrel, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, the outcome is I'm exhausted, and then I probably am short with my children or you. And it's just a completely different experience of life. And so we have to learn how to unpack what does it mean to be integritous. And again, it goes beneath the surface of what one actually thinks of what integrity is.
Right. Yeah. I think for me, when I think about that, I think about when I know that I'm out of integrity in my life, one of the ways that I know is how I'm feeling inside is not how I'm expressing outside.
Mm.
So I'm like repressing or holding it down or not having a conversation that needs to be had because I'm avoiding it, not wanting to deal with it, putting it off for later. And then that just creates such a blockage of energy inside. And that's that feeling of really feeling misaligned.
Yeah.
And I can think of other times that I've noticed I was out of integrity with like my thoughts and my actions not matching up. So just to give a really simple example, the thought about, how important it is to eat healthy and take care of myself. And then the action of, going and snacking, on a regular basis or making choices that are not as healthy for myself, and how that feels to be out of alignment when I'm thinking of what it is that I really want and what I'm saying is important to me versus my actual actions in that area.
We probably don't give credit to the like suppressed thoughts and emotions when we're choosing the nachos.
Right.
I love nachos, man. Cheese on chips. Woo, I love it.
Yeah.
But
cheese on cheese on cheese.
Yeah. I like cheese dipped in cheese anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's so yeah, you're coming back and understanding of this of integrity is to match. What they talk about is matching the inner world and the outer world, right? Mm-hmm. That's to me integrity, or another way of putting that, that's why we call it integrated human performance or integrated mindset, is to integrate the inner and the outer world, is to recognize how what is happening in here is also being experienced out there, and they both are completely interconnected with each other. There's this constant interplay that's happening with my inner world and my outer world. And for me to really truly find flow in my life, like flow meaning flow states or peak performance, or just this flow, like legitimately like feeling like you're in a river and you're flowing and it feels easy and it's peaceful and it's joyful.
Yeah. And there's like a return of energy. Like think of like a circuit and the energy coming back to you. When
you stay connected to that integration, when you stay connected to that integrity of the inner and the outer world, that is where now you're able to like navigate with that sense of flow, and you're able to manage that flow of energy, right? To where you are aware of where your attention and where your attention is going is where your energy flows, right? Or where your attention goes, energy flows. You've probably heard that before. And so when you're very aware of this, of the sense of integrity of your inner and your outer world, then you're able to know like, oh, my attention's going there. Like, nah, you don't get it right now. I'm going to pull it back here and be in this moment as it is.
I've had to do that so many times already today.
Yeah,
just like redirecting.
Oh, it's a constant practice.
Yeah.
It's a constant practice. Yeah. Because let's stay with this for just a minute. This inner and the outer world, like in reality, if I'm not in integrity with what's happening inside and being able to be aware of how that's creating my perception of the outside world, if I don't allow myself to fully feel a fear or a doubt, like that probably leads to potential like anger, or resentment
or avoidance, which ultimately, because
yeah.
what we, even inadvertently, what we focus on, we find
Mm-hmm.
we can be avoiding something and at the same time leading ourselves right into that thing that we're trying to avoid. Because if we're not willing to face or feel all the way through the uncomfortable feeling of fear, right? It just like, what if that thing did happen, and allowing yourself to go there and feeling that feeling to completion, rather than continually repressing it and directing yourself potentially right into that place.
That's the possible outcome model that we teach, right? Is to be able to allow for your mind to play the scenario out to completion, to see what lesson you may learn or what gift you may receive, so you no longer suppress that fear. Which, if you guys have ever heard this before, fear is false expectations appearing real, or false evidence appearing real. When you allow for your mind to play it all the way out, it's easier to dissolve that fear and recognize that failure is an actual illusion. It's this construct that our mind creates, that because we fear rejection from our peers or our spouse or whatever it may be. So I want to hit what you're talking about for just a moment: avoidance, denial, resistance. So in one of our programs, it's called Competitive Edge, we introduce the concept of the hero's journey to our teen clients. We work with it's not just athletes, it's competitive edge, meaning they're competitive edge in life. And so we identify what is the opposite of a hero, which would be a victim orientation or mindset. And it makes me think about, if I'm in integrity, then I'm probably not avoiding, denying, or resisting. Like if I find myself avoiding scenario, circumstance, emotion, a feeling, or whatever, like if I'm avoiding, if I'm denying something, like, oh, that's, or resisting it, suppressing it, pushing it off till later, then most likely in that moment, I'm choosing to not be in full integrity with myself, which causes suppression. And a good sign of suppression or avoidance, denial, resistance is instant gratification. Is when we find ourselves being like, oh, I'm going to turn on TV. I'm not going to deal with that right now, right?
I'm going to look at my phone, or
look at the phone,
get that piece of chocolate or whatever it is.
Yeah. Food is a big one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Especially when you work from home, you guys. The struggle is real.
So we're looking for alignment. I don't know if we said this already or not, but they call it wholeness. Yeah. Wholeness is an interesting concept of like going to, for just a moment, let's just for a moment, explore a sense of spirituality with this conversation of, when you get to the root, when you've done enough work to realize where we come from, where we're going, and the truth of us in the sense of how we were created, right? We're all completely whole, pure, perfect, complete. There's nothing that needs to be changed, right? There's nothing wrong with anybody. It's legitimately the fact that we have forgot, right? So a practice of integrity is a practice of wholeness, is a practice of living from your truth, right? It's the coming back to that and being like, oh, what's true for me and what's true in the core of things, right? And speaking that, what they call it, they say speaking it, anything that's unarguable truths.
Oh yeah, unarguable truths. Yeah.
Right. So like that's kind of one of the components that we should probably dive into, is understanding this idea of keeping our agreements, right? And that whole concept. So to be in alignment is to be in alignment with that wholeness, to be in alignment with our truth, to be alignment really when we are exploring that and aware of that place and coming from that place of what I call pure potential. We're probably living into, or at least exploring, or on the path of really finding our unique purpose in life. Or another way of putting that, and from a neuroscience perspective, is a specialty role or function, this thing that we can contribute that is unique, that is a gift, that a problem that we can solve that only we can see.
Yeah. Let's touch on something too. We talked about the aspect of integrity, meaning that, keeping your agreements, being impeccable with your agreements. That doesn't always mean that you're going to do everything that you said you're going to do.
Right.
Because there is the ability to have
adjust,
integrity within that and adjust and renegotiate, like in several different ways. You could renegotiate the timeline, you know, when you're going to be doing something, the scope of what you're going to do, or you could decide that it's just a no for you and it's no longer in alignment with where you're going. And I have that experience all the time, because I think when you're in a rapid growth, when you're growing rapidly, when you're changing, when your self-concept is changing, when your values are changing, when you are in that growth phase, your priorities change along with that. And so it needs to be okay for you to adjust and to renegotiate your agreements with yourself based on where you're at in your season of life, in your season of your growth path, and what really feels like a whole body yes to you versus just something that you've sort of agreed to do as an obligation and doesn't really align with where you're going. Well, if that makes sense.
And so you tie those back together, right? Is we make these agreements, we make these commitments, in which they kind of identify as two different concepts within the book. We're not going to go into that, but is to recognize that if I am not going to follow through in the specific timeline of which I said I was going to, for myself or for others, right? Like I made this agreement that I was going to, work out, eat a certain way, embrace a certain challenge of sorts, right? Mm-hmm. What we call worthy challenges. Mm-hmm. And then if I decide, oh, wow, you know what, because I have gone a few steps down that path, and I've recognized that I need to course correct, like that's a flexible mind. We actually train this ability to span the horizons, to be able to ask open-ended, powerful questions, to allow for the whole brain to be able to communicate in a way that I recognize, and I'm able to make these micro adjustments, these incremental shifts, right, before I get too far down a path and realize it's not for me. So like that's part of our ability to be in integrity, is to make an agreement, to explore it. And it's a concept, it's a principle of transformation I actually wrote about in my book, Choice Point, is try it on. Like allow for yourself to embody and try something on within your life, right? Like let's say you're thinking about a transition and you're thinking about maybe going from, well, let's just, in my world, right? Going from, owning and operating a residential painting company and being in that full time, to transitioning to what now I'm currently doing, where, I only spend maybe an hour a week in the painting company currently. And I spend the majority of my time, 99% of my time, doing this, doing podcasting and coaching and teaching and facilitating and writing and creating content, right? And so when I was exploring that transition, I allowed for my mind to play out like, oh, what would my day look like? And how would that feel? And what would I spend my time? And like, I try it on like you're trying on a jacket. You're like, I like the arm length. Yeah, that's good. I like how it fits. This pocket is in a nice place, but maybe there's something about it I don't like. This color, I don't like the color. So what part of that is not fitting? Is there something within me that needs to be healed so this jacket fits better? Or is the vision that I'm creating, is the idea of the transition maybe just, and it's just not quite right yet, meaning that I didn't think about the fact that I wanted to work with teenagers. And once I put that jacket on, oh, that had a pocket on this side too. Right? That's what it was, right? Now, and it's the right color, because we are constantly exploring. You, if you're on this path and you're doing this work and you're living above the line, I'm going to tell you something I can guarantee you, that your perception of yourself and of the world is going to change. So be able to be flexible and mobile on your path. So be able to make an agreement. And then if you have to break that agreement, at least you speak candidly that, hey, this is no longer in alignment with who I have become or who I'm becoming or the challenge that I'm taking on as a human. So I'm going to make an adjustment here. I'm going to pass this off, or I'm going to change the timeline. Right.
I think too, if you don't do that, if you don't choose to be honest about where you're at in your season, to renegotiate when things don't work for you anymore, what that leads to is a ton of resentment that you carry around, because now you're doing something that feels out of alignment. And it's that it's not having that congruence that we talked about between what's happening in your inner experience of what you're doing and what's happening outside. So you're reluctantly going along with the plan because that's what you've agreed to do, and you're trying to be integritous with your commitment. But really what you're doing is actually abandoning yourself in that interaction. So to me, thinking about integrity, personal integrity, is keeping your promises that you make to yourself, and really putting your own internal experience above what anybody else is going to think of it, or how people might judge you, talk about you, whatever, and going with really in your heart, what's a full body yes to you, versus just trying to please other people and do what you think is going to get you the gold star.
Well, and the final piece that I think gets lost in a lot of coaching models, programs, or otherwise, and especially in spiritual journeys, is action, right? How do we build trust in the world? Like trust with myself, to trust somebody else, is repetitive, consistent action over time. Like that's the equation to build
confidence formula too.
To build trust or confidence. And so, knowing that there's a possibility that I may have to adjust because things change, life happens, is the power of setting like minimums and micro goals where gives yourself that flexibility is incredibly important. And to make sure that we understand, like, we can do all the work on ourselves. We can do all the thought work on ourselves. We can think that we are becoming more resilient or stronger or whatever. But if we don't step out and actually act upon what we're creating in our minds, in our journaling, in our process of evolving in consciousness, within consciousness, or otherwise, if we don't step out and actually get on the stage, let's say, for example, right? If I'm being coached to overcome the fear of public speaking, I actually just had this conversation with somebody that day. And he was telling me that this is an example of something he helps people with, is he would help somebody overcome the fear of public speaking. And they would test that fear based upon a statement and or affirmation. If it caused internal resistance, then that means there's work to be done. If it didn't, that means you're able to speak it without resistance and you're able to kind of fully embody it. That means you no longer fear public speaking. And what I'm saying, there's a further step. That's if you don't actually get on that stage and go through the actual this action that's going to fortify and affirm and integrate it fully to where you're never going to slip back into the old fear, right? You have to get up on that stage. You have to act. It takes action. And that's the component of the intentional balance when you're talking about integrity of the inner and the outer world, of non-action and action, of going inward and being aware of my inner domain and the external world, the inner journey and the outer journey, meaning that I can do all kinds of spiritual work and meditation and breath work and sound bath healings and all these things in here. But if I don't step out, actually challenge myself in one way, shape, or form that is tangible, that people can see, that you can measure, that is time bound.
Authentic action.
Authentic action. Yes, we call it authentic action. If we don't do those things, then you're not actually living in integrity, because there's a part of you that hasn't fully integrated it in, right? And that's the path of becoming whole, right? Of experiencing, I should say, not becoming whole. I should say of experiencing your wholeness, right? Is non-action, action, inner journey, outer journey. Right?
Yeah. And when you take the action, when you take the step forward and you are taking an action in the physical world, then it gives you an opportunity then to take that experience and take it inward again and learn from it.
Yeah.
And go, okay, I went out, I had this internal growth. I went out, I took an authentic action. This happened in the world. Now, what am I going to decide to make that mean? And how am I going to move forward with what I'm learning and take the next step? It is about that dance, like in and out all the time.
100%. Yeah. And so what you just talked about there is illustrating these pillars, right? So let's say you go to get on that stage and boy, it still hits your stuff, right? And your heartbeat is going and your sweaty palms, and maybe you stumble over your words a little bit. And so, okay, well, now you're able to come back and feel those feelings to completion. That's one of the pillars, right? To take full responsibility of the work that has been done, that needs to be done, and the performance that was actually projected out, right? And just be able then to speak authentically and be impeccable with your agreements, to continue to explore those, to find integrity. And again, we're coming back to, let's come full circle, because this is incredibly important, I think, is understanding what we're speaking about is flow, is the flow of energy.
Yeah.
And when you understand what it feels like to be in a flow state, it becomes not only something that you want to explore and experience more of, but it becomes it's quite magical, right? To be in this state and to just to live in it, and to like get better at it, at navigating, to keep yourself in it, right? Whereas it's this constant awareness of the inner and the outer journey.
It becomes, I think it's like water flowing.
Yeah.
And it becomes more apparent when you're hitting a rock.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, oh, things are not, something's going on here. But it will find a way if you let it.
Yeah. One is forced, and the other one feels like power.
Yeah.
One is like you're leaning forward and you're forcing. And it doesn't mean that one is more actionable or otherwise, right? And one is kind of leaning back and being in a place of power, and living from that wholeness.
We are all leaders. If you're ready to stop waiting and start impacting your environment in a powerful way, we want to connect with you. Click the Book Now link in the show notes to book a call with a Heart First coach and discover what Heart First leadership can look like in your life and in your environment. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I love it. I love how this commitment wraps them all, wraps up kind of what we've talked about so far. Yeah, taking 100% responsibility, speaking candidly, feeling your feelings through to completion, and then keeping your agreements. And we talked about that. It doesn't have to look like you say you're going to do something and now it's set in stone and you'd have no choice, because choice is a really important aspect of our growth and inner feelings of sourcing our own safety within ourselves, right? We have to give ourselves choice. Really, really important.
Yeah. And so we choose how we're going to grow, the challenge we're going to take on, what we're going to do, right? And then it's time for us, when the resistance pops up, to step out into that, like almost like you're living one step into the future, which we did a podcast about that, living one step into the future of saying, okay, got the phone call from this person or that thing happened. Yeah. Like, are you going to live in integrity? Like, this is partly like casting a vision, creating a worthy ideal of yourself, of your future self, of the desired life, of the impact you want to make, of the contribution and the problem you can solve, the contribution you can make, right? And be very, like, have such conviction of your purpose in life that you know where you're going. And then for you to be able to be fortified enough in that path that when something hits you that tries to pull you out of that alignment, you're like, nope. Yeah. You're not going to give it energy. And I encourage us all the time. How many times do I say it a day? To live one step.
Just today it happened. Just to give you an example, right? Multiple times today for me, kind of at the, I don't know, CEO seat of the painting company right now.
Call whatever you want.
Things come in. There's questions, there's things that need to be dealt with, and we have put someone in place to deal with those questions. And so what comes up for me is can I believe in the future version of our company and the future version of myself enough to do what that future version would do, to act in alignment and in integrity with that, and say, this is not mine to be doing anymore. And here's the person who's going to be handling this for you.
Make this phone call.
Yeah.
Not try to go back and go, oh, I need to go do that. Right. I need to make this right. And get pulled back into an old experience. Because I'm telling you, when you decide 100% on where you're going and you're in integrity with that, you're going to get a opportunity to either go back to an old experience of control and trying to control the situation and be like, oh, obviously I just got to do it. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself type of mentality.
Yeah, that's a narrative that keeps you in exactly the same place that you've always been.
Or to live from the future, just one step ahead of the future. If it was tomorrow meaning next week or next month or 6 months from now, depending on how big your vision is, how would I handle this? Well, actually 6 months from now, I wouldn't even have this phone because somebody else would be answering this phone.
Right.
So let's go ahead and operate as if, and that's the case, as long as we're in integrity with every other aspect of our business life or personal life or in general, right? And it's giving somebody else the opportunity to learn and to grow in their own way as well, rather than being pulled back into an old narrative that we're never going to get there, right? And this is a skill that it has taken a lot of awareness to come to a place of, I don't want to say the word mastery, but of consistent practice, I should say, where I'm constantly living one step into the future.
Yeah.
Constantly thinking one step into the future, constantly getting my body to experience what it's going to be like and allowing that to be my experience now, which is leading towards growth. This is now and later circuitry thing that we don't have time to get into now. But
we could practice this as parents too, just being in alignment with how we're bringing up our kids and believing that they're capable of doing things and giving them the responsibility and showing them, but not necessarily doing things for them that maybe we've always done, but really allowing them to step up and take charge and make some choices in their life and step into taking responsibility for things that are theirs to do. We start doing that with our kids, and they're folding their own laundry, putting that stuff away.
They make their own breakfast. They make their own lunches. They come home and do their homework immediately because it's just like, this is how we're going to do things.
Right.
And just don't tell them, show them.
But that does take looking into the future a little bit and going, potentially what could this look like? And then what steps do we need to take now to start practicing those things? And then it becomes agreements that are really easy to keep because you've put those things in place.
Yeah. As a coach, one more example of living in integrity, as a coach, I have created, an incredible amount of content that I, teach and facilitate, to multiple different groups. And then people who are longtime clients, we have this momentum course that we're creating what we call a worthy challenge and a training plan and a practice plan and all these different components of accountability and vision, of clarity of where we're going and things like that as a group and as individuals. And we have a call tomorrow where we're going to share our worthy challenge and we're going to share that whole component. I don't know if you're ready or not, but she's in the group too. But today I sat down and I spent a little over an hour, like writing out every single component of it, even scheduling the things that we do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually to continue to find that flow state, to know like, hey, on March 25th, I'm going to spend the whole weekend off my phone. I've already planned it, right? Yeah. Because once a quarter, I want to spend at least 48 to 72 hours with my phone completely off and focusing on nothing but my children, which happens to land on my daughter's birth date.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, that's easy. So we just schedule that in. We put it in the calendar, phone off. Right.
Yeah.
My point is this, that it becomes really quite easy to talk to people about our coaching when you're living it fully. It's really quite easy to coach it, teach it facilitate it when you completely have integrated it and you're living in integrity with it. And what I have found is even there's another layer or level of interest in it, because they're like, oh, like, yeah, I see that it's not saying one thing and then doing another, right? Which, and there's a lot of
I would love
things out there where it's like, I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't really seem like you're practicing, right?
Yeah. I would love to know from anybody who's watching this, who wants to leave a comment, what's an area of your life where you feel like you could practice more integrity, where you could fulfill your commitment a little more? Maybe it's with your health goals. Maybe it's something to do with parenting or your role at work. I'd love to open up that conversation either here in the comments or in our private community. We post these conversations in there. So that's a great place. It's a nice, safe space to go where everyone who is in the community is there for growth. They're there to better themselves. They're there to look in the mirror, to take 100% responsibility and to show up as the best versions of themselves. So I think that's a really beautiful conversation that we could have in the comments of this video, either here or over there, if you feel a little bit more comfortable there. So I'll put the link for the community here in the comments so that you can join us in there. We've got lots of awesome resources and more conversation and more tools that we're going to be sharing. There's an awesome practice on how to feel what that full body yes feels like in your body. If you're not sure about maybe commitments that you're on the verge of taking and not knowing if those are in alignment or not, how to actually check in with yourself and tap into the wisdom of your body and see if that is a full body yes for you. And if it's something that is a commitment that you can keep with integrity. So yeah, join us over there.
Just so you know, that community is off of social media. It is an app, and I personally do not have any social media on my phone, but that's the place that we engage with. We wanted to create something that we're promoting less time on social media. So anyway, yeah. So thank you for your time. If you're on this journey with us in any way, shape, or form, like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Just keep doing the work, keep leaning in, and we're always here. This is what we do. So we're always here for any questions, conversation, any sort of connection. Dive in. We're going to have, all kinds of fun things coming up, events and practices and things of the sort. So would love to see you, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Remember, leaders go first. Alignment matters. And the environment that you create is the legacy you'll leave. We'll see you on the next episode.